Three, two, one. Hey guys, this is Holistic Health with Harry, and today I have the honor of interviewing one of my closest friends, Sandy Goel, who has quite literally changed my life, and that's not even an understatement. From the beginning of how we met to all the worldly riches and the Shaktis that have been brought to me through meeting you, is actually true. You have changed my life. So welcome, Sandy, and yeah, welcome.
Ram Harish Kumar. For those of you watching or listening to this, I have renamed Harry as Harish Kumar because I like to give nicknames to those I love. So Harish Kumar is very appropriate for our beloved Harry. Thank you, Harry.
Indeed, brother. So our beginning, me and you, I guess, and it kind of links in with your beginning. I'd like to talk to you about what are you up to in your life? How did you get into the community, and how did you bring me involved? Because you are now one of the highest ranking members of an amazing supplement company I affiliate with, and it's only because of your persistence, the route. You do a few other things. I'd like you to backtrack a little bit and tell us how you got involved in the business and also the communities you find yourself in.
Okay. This might be a bit long. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. So I'll start with the community. I'm Indian, right? You can see that, you know. My parents were quite religious, and they used to take me and my brother to the Hare Krishna temple and to the temples, like from when we were very little. I never really understood the whole Hindu philosophy or Hare Krishna, but I'd always been thirsty in seeking God and knowing that there is a divine power within us. And you know, I was obsessed with Star Wars, especially the Force. I loved the Force, and I loved the whole Yoda thing, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I always knew there was something outside. In my 20s, I'm now 48, but in my 20s, I found Jesus. I gave my life to Jesus. I became born again, and I actually had supernatural experiences with that. So I joined the church. I was quite active in the church for about 6 or 7 years. But I left the church, not my relationship with God or Jesus, but I left the church because it's full of hypocrites, you know, full of judgment, condemnation, hypocrisy, etc., etc. So I left that, but I was always still seeking. Now, how I got into the communities, right? So I was running a business in Clubland. I used to be a club promoter. We used to, it started off guest listing. And when I talk about clubs, I'm talking about clubs like Ministry of Sound, Fabric. These are all old clubs. Some of them have gone, like Turn Mills, The Cross, Bagley's, God's Kitchen, Gatecrasher. They've all gone now, most of them. But I used to deal with those clubs. So we started off doing guest listing. Then we moved on to selling tickets for these clubs. And then we started putting on our own club nights. It was a very traumatic time in my life, very traumatic. I was involved with a business partner who completely screwed me over, very narcissistic. But I was like the battered wife. I'd always, you know, go back because it's all I knew. I was uncomfortable. I was comfortable in the uncomfort, if you know what I mean. Anyway, cut a long story short, I had to close the business. I'd lent him a ton of money, and I had to close my side of the business, and he kept his side running. And it turned out into a massive fight, almost physical, actually. And after that fight, I got pushed out of the office and I went to a park. This was all in 2007, by the way. I went to a park and I got down on my hands and knees and I said, all right, God, get me out of here. Please just get me out of here. Lead me to where I should go. Just get me out of here. Just rescue me. A few weeks later, a book called The Secret got revealed to me. Now, that book is mostly crap because it talks about, oh, if you want to have a Ferrari, you visualize it and all this kind of, But what I picked up from that book was the concept of vibration. And that everything in your reality is as a result of your vibration. But the good news is that you can change your vibration. So I thought, wow, I can change my vibration. That means my life can change. So from 2007 onwards, I just dived in, to learning all about how to change my vibration. And I went to see healers. I actually started off with the EFT, emotional freedom technique.
Oh, yeah.
And then I moved on to theta healing, reference point therapy, saw loads of healers, went to loads of personal development workshops, spiritual development workshops. And this is how I got involved in the, spiritual community, the alternative community. And I've made some great friends through it, amazing friends through this community. And I've learned a hell of a lot. Okay, so does that answer your question about the community?
Yes.
Aspect?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Do you want me to move on about the health thing?
Yeah. So yes, exactly. So you carried on your job at the bouncing. I think you told me before. No. Sorry, not bouncing. Nightclub promoting. I got that wrong. And then I think you told me before, after doing that for many years, there was a frustration. You felt like that even wasn't your calling. To keep doing that work, you wanted something more.
What yeah. Okay. So from a vocational point of view, I left the club promoting business in 2007. I was actually forced out of it and the universe forced me out. I mean, it just wasn't flowing financially. I mean, there was money coming in, but it just wasn't, because I kept lending my money out, not getting paid back. I got embroiled in some really major difficulties with some associates of mine at the time. So I had to close the business. I then my confidence was at an all-time low, and I thought, okay, what can I do? And I thought, I used to put on events. So I did a postgraduate diploma in event management. That was in 2007. That lasted for 6 months. But then at the end of the course, I thought, I don't want to be an event manager. It's so much hard work for very little reward. I mean, event managers are not paid a lot at all. So miraculously, I got a sales job. And I say it's miraculous because I saw an ad in the Metro. I think it was the Metro at the time. And I applied for it. But as I saw this job in the Metro, I remember feeling like buzzy and tingles and all sorts. I applied for the job, I got it. And this job was as a sales rep, selling maths, English, and programs to help kids with their maths, English, and reading. Really good program. Helps so many kids. And I did that for 3 years and I was very successful. I had the highest conversion rate within the company. However, the hours were unsociable. I was working evenings and weekends. And what these corporates do, they just want more blood out of you. So they'll put you under more pressure. So they kept putting me under more pressure. And after 3 years, I thought, this was in 2008, I started the job. And after 3 years in 2011, I thought, I've had enough. They're not really, I was self-employed and I could take as much time off as I wanted, but they used to frown upon that. So I thought, sod you, I'm out. So I left that. I then got another job selling courses for the trades like plumbing, electrician and stuff. I lasted in that for about a month because it wasn't my passion. I'm not interested in learning about plumbing or trade. Sorry, plumbing or being an electrician or a gas worker, and then I did some online stuff. So I got into network marketing. I did some online stuff, but unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that I got involved in turned out to be, unknowing to me at the time, Ponzi scams. I then went traveling for a bit. This was in 2014. I went traveling for a bit. Went to Brazil, went to India. Year before that, went to Poland for a bit. And I came back, I thought, right, all these scams, which I didn't know were scams at the time, they're dried up. I need to earn some money. I need a job, but I don't want a job where I'm going to be put under a lot of pressure. I'm only paid for the hours that I do. And when I go home, it means I go home. I don't bring it back. So I saw an advert for event steward. And I applied for that. And I started being an event steward. And at venues like Excel, Olympia, Ascot, it was exceptionally boring job because it's brain dead. You're on your feet most of the time. You're guarding a fire exit. The conversation with your colleagues is not very intellectually stimulating. However, the guys who do those jobs, I've got utmost respect for because they're very grounded, they're humble, they're not up their own arse, most of them. Obviously, some of them are, but so, and I needed that to humble me, all right, to keep, okay? And I remember, Harry, when I first started my shift, did my first shift in March 2015. This is in March 2015. I remember I had a deep knowing that this would only be temporary. You're not going to be doing this for the rest of your life. But I didn't believe it, but I had just knowing. I just had this knowing. And I carried on doing the job, and then I got my security license. And I've been a security guard since 2015. And it got me down, because it's a brain dead job. There's no career prospects in it, really. They did ask me to organize shows and stuff, but I wasn't interested in that because the pressure involved is too much. You're dealing with staffing issues, you're dealing with organizers, venue issues, members of the public, guests. I just couldn't be bothered with that. I just wanted to turn up, get paid for the hours that I do, leave, and that's it. So, sorry, I know I'm rambling. Does that answer, do you want to ask me more about that? Or so you wanted to know about the health thing, yeah? Is that correct?
Oh, no, you're going well. So yeah. You were doing security management for events, big events, and
No. I was a security guard.
Guard. Okay.
Yeah.
Four events and finding it
Oh,
incredibly boring. This was between 2015. Was this leading up to COVID all this time?
yes. Okay. So from 2015 to 2019, yeah. I was pretty much full on with the security guard work. And then in 2020, when COVID hit, the work dried up because obviously events were banned, large gatherings were banned. So the work dried up. Shall I talk about how I got involved with Root, and or shall I talk about Mum? I'll tell you what, I'll talk about Mum.
Yes,
Okay?
please. Yes.
Yeah. So in 2016, this is how I'm now going to talk about how I got into her, alternative health. In 2016, my mum had a very serious stroke, June 2016. She was hospitalized for 6 weeks. Luckily, there was no speech impediment. There was no paralysis. She did lose her swallowing reflex, but she got that back after about 3 months. Now, she got out of hospital and her mobility was kind of back to normal, but not so much the same. And she still had high blood pressure. She still had diabetes. Now, I wanted to minimize the chance of this happening again. And I knew that allopathic pharmaceutical medical intervention would not get her back to good health. So I went down the alternative route. I took her to see, from 2016 to 2019, I took her to see naturopaths, natural health doctors, kinesiologists, spent an absolute fortune on sessions and their supplements. And there was some benefit, but not a lot to her health. And this is how I started to learn about holistic health and big pharma at treating chronic disease, and what, for example, mitochondria are. Now, Mum got diagnosed with very early stage breast cancer in June 2019. She, again, we went down the alternative health route, got ripped off majorly. Okay, majorly. And in the end, the NHS dealt with it. They took out the tumor, and the surgery was so successful that she didn't need any chemo or radiotherapy.
Wow.
But in 2020, January 2020, she passed away very, very suddenly. And that was due to pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot to the lung.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to Root. I used to take Mum to see a flower remedies expert called Claire Harvey, who's a very close friend of mine. She's got a clinic in Harley Street, and Mum used to love going to see her. The week before Mum passed away, I took her to see Claire, and I waited in the car because I didn't want a parking ticket. So Mum went up to see her. While she's up there, she's saying to Claire, I want you to help my son find his purpose in life, because he's very unhappy. Do you promise you'll help him find his purpose in life? And Claire thought it was a very strange request, but promised. Mum passes away a week later, February 2020. I go to see Claire to deal with my grief. And at the end of the session, she tells me about a new detox product coming out, a zeolite product. And I said, Claire, I'm not in the space right now. Send me the info. I'll take a look at it. in March 2020, she invites me onto a webinar with our good friend, Mr. Clayton Thomas. And Clayton is talking about stuff I had never heard an alternative practitioner say before, that the root cause to our disease is toxins. And we are all toxic. And unless we remove the toxins, we cannot get back to good health. And he started talking about clean slate. I got very angry, not with him, but hang on a minute. I spent 4 years taking mum to see all these natural practitioners. Not one of them talked about toxicity. I ordered it, the clean slate, and got it a month later because shipping was very slow at the time because of COVID. Had really good results, better mood, mental energy, physical energy, crazy dreams because it decalcifies the pineal gland very quickly, better sleep, etc. And do you know what I did, Harry, in April 2020? I got that. Go on.
Is this the time that you were going to India at some point? Very nearly. Are we muddling up?
No. No, actually, I did book to go to India. Thank God I didn't go because I couldn't go because India shut the border 2 days before we were due to fly out, and we were due to go out with mum's ashes. Thank God, otherwise we would have been stuck there for at least 3 months, and it would have been awful, especially with the heat that goes on. But no, what I did, Harry, in April 2020, I got down on my hands and knees and I said, God, it's not working my way. I'll do it your way. What do you want me to do? Show me, but make it easy for me. And very shortly after that, I had no intention of building Root as a business. And then end of May 2020, I got my first customer, Michelle Grote, who introduced me to you. And now I am where I am. And I'm just so grateful. So grateful.
Yeah.
So sorry, carry on. It looks like we've got 5 minutes left.
Well, obviously we'll do a part 2. We'll definitely do a part 2 on this. So that's amazing. It ties in with the what I just asked you about the India, because like you said, you found this supplement and you were due to go and rest your mum's ashes a few months after she died.
That's right, 2 months after.
And this was when it was majorly kicking off for the first time with all the restrictions around the world. And basically you were due to go to India, but then yes, you didn't, because it kicked off around the world and you couldn't go literally at the time you were booking to go, the days you were going.
No,
is that correct?
We actually booked the tickets, but 2 days before we were due to fly, India shut the border, and it was me, my dad, and my brother who were due to fly. And it just would have been awful. It really would have been awful, because we were supposed to go for 10 days, my dad and my brother and myself. My brother's wife was heavily pregnant at the time. So can you imagine flying out there, being stuck and not being able to fly back for at least 3 months? I mean, I know of people who are stuck for at least 3 or 4 months, not in our own home. I'd have probably left the laptop behind. So it would have been, it just would have been really, really. So, but God had other plans, you know?
Yeah.
God had other plans, and I wouldn't be doing Root. I wouldn't have met you, Harish, you know, because I would have been stuck out there.
Yeah, that's so true. And so you didn't plan to do it as a business, but then when you got your first customer, Michelle, in May, you started to see that not only was it powerful for you, but did you feel a calling to share it more and more? Did you start?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I used to attend Dr. Dory's Tuesday calls every Tuesday, and every Tuesday was a different topic. I mean, I had nothing else to do. Work dried up. You know, we were under house arrest in our own homes, as you know. So what else is there to do? So I used to learn a lot from Dr. Dory's calls, which are very educational. Every week was a different subject. Like 1 week would cover mercury, the next week would cover arsenic or lead, or Alzheimer's, fertility issues, menopause, thyroid, whatever. Because these calls are so good, I just used to invite people onto them, those who are health-minded, health conscious. And people like those guys loved the calls and started buying products and started spreading the word. I mean, I remember when I joined Root in March 2020, because the company launched on the 2nd of February 2020. I was probably their 300th something customer. Now I've got over 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, like the way the business has grown, I mean, obviously, yeah, I've worked hard and stuff, right? But the synchronicities, I'm not an online marketer. I don't even know how to build a website. I'm not joking, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. And yeah, and how I've done what I've done, and I attribute all of this to God, and I do to Mum, because after Mum died, my life completely changed, and I knew she was worried about me. She was always asking me, are you happy? And I never said no, but she could see I wasn't. So it's kind of like she liberated me in a way, because I can, not me, but through these products, you and I, Harry, and others can do for others what I've got less in a minute. What we can do, what I can do for Mum.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's do a little part 2 for this.